101 today, and I'm your host, Raj Anderson, Executive Life Coach and Coach Assessor, and I am here with John Andrew Williams, who is the founder of Coach Training EDU. You know, all of you shared and you asked and you said, we want demos, and here it is. We're making it happen, aren't we, John?
Here it is. So should we jump in? Should we do the demo? And we're just going to treat this like a client, assessor overview. And I'm going to also assess myself in the overview process. But yeah, this one is about 20, or the specs on this, 21 minutes, 30 seconds. And this is our very first coaching session, but we jumped right in and I was trying to do my very best, textbook, like this is, the thing. So I just play it, share my screen and.
Let's do it, John. Let's listen.
I'm in. All right. So I'm hoping everyone can see their screen too. Here I am. Yay. All right, here we go.
So the topic I brought today is it's about professional development. I recently started and I'm mostly through what we call a detail. It's a position you take on for only a few months and you get temporarily promoted for it. But this is going to sound like bragging, but it's really not. There was a need within the organization and I've created this position. I've helped create this position.
Yep.
And I applied for the detail. I got accepted. They want to turn it into a full-time job.
Amazing.
And I'm coming to the end of my detail and I'm questioning whether I really want to do it. I've looked behind the curtain. I don't know if I want to be behind the curtain.
That's perfect. How could we measure the success of this time together?
Yeah, I've been putting some thought into that and it's really hard. I think I want clarity on how I've done a little soul searching on it and I think my priorities are changing. But at the same time, I feel responsible and loyal to the creation of this position. So it's kind of conflicting emotions and my priorities are changing just with age. It happens. There's a transition going on here and I don't really know where it's going, but I know it's happening. So I think just clarity. I think if we could just have discussion and we could delve a little deeper so I have a better understanding of the thoughts that are just like going around in circles, that'd be great.
Yeah. Is it all right. How are we doing so far? How's the audio? How's that? How's the tech? Can you hear it well?
I can hear it well. Tech is great. I was just getting into it. I was starting to make my notes. I was getting curious. John, what is it like listening to that? Like, what are your thoughts?
I'm thinking this feels very familiar territory. Like a very coach. Yeah, a very coach-like topic. And this is very typical of an executive coaching session.
A curious question I do have at the outset. You said this is the first session with this individual, and there seems to be that instant rapport. There is an ease there. How did you create that space?
I don't know. It just felt very easy. It's probably more Charlene in her energy than anything. It happened like that. I was listening. I was over there on the other side with her. And I thought, this is perfect. And the one thing I probably would take away is I don't know if I need to vote so much as a coach and say, yeah, that's perfect. I would have preferred if I just said, okay, I could have said it in my head, like, thank you. But yeah, I don't know. It's neither here nor there. But if this were an MCC assessment, I would probably like to take that part out.
I caught that, and I was going to ask you about it. What would you do instead of that?
Just don't say it. Just go for the question. How can we measure our success together here? But I felt like I wanted to give her a little bit of yay, that's, let's get connected. That's perfect. You know what I mean? I wanted some of that. Oh, maybe if that's, I don't know. that's perfect is not the worst thing I could have said to create a connection in that time. Maybe if I just did wonderful. But now we're like, you know what I mean? Now, oh goodness. Okay. You know what I mean? Now it's like, are we really splitting that hair? You know, perhaps.
Well, as I'm listening to you speak now, and I was listening to the recording, part of that, as you said, is to help the individual feel comfortable as well, isn't it? I have a habit when people share things with me and we're in conversation, I'll say, okay, great. And I have to catch myself in a coaching session. Yet sometimes I do say that because it's creating that comfortable space for the individual, encouraging them to continue, especially if I don't know them very well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's neither here nor there. I don't know how. If I were assessing this, I don't even know if I would even go there or talk about that or what I would do with that. It will be interesting if I do it often, if it's a habit. Like, you know, if we keep listening to these and I think, oh, is this something I say? Like those to me seem like the bigger things to really address. But it's there. You know, it's definitely, oh, that's interesting. You know.
Yeah, so we're observing that. And then the other thing I am sure coaches who are listening, and a question that came to me, and I know MCC coaching is different to ACC and PCC coaching. I think you asked that great measure question. Yeah, when we're teaching the time model, we're asking people to go to the importance question next.
I go to the measurement question almost before the importance question every time. And I realize I do it. But time is just, I think they can be flipped. Measurement and importance can totally be flipped. Yeah, but I've noticed almost every time I go measurement before importance, but sometimes I don't. So time is just easier to remember than Timai. No, it's time is easier. So we're keeping it. We're just gonna keep it.
The other thing I was curious about was the metaphor that she used of the curtain and being behind it. So I was just curious in terms of the significance of that curtain for her. Yet, as we listen, I'm sure there's other things that are going to come up, but I just wanted to make a note of it.
There might be a future question that references the curtain. That would be MCC-ish if that happens. So we'll find out. I think I do, but maybe I don't know. I'm pretty sure I do. That's fun. I only did this last week, so it's somewhat fresh in my mind. I just was super psyched. This is a great topic. Instant rapport. She's doing it. She's engaged. This is excellent. Things I was kind of like, ooh, I'm not sure about is the like how real is this decision? Where are we at yet? But we'll get there. And then I'm also kind of curious because it seems like it's cutting. I wonder if it's cutting out the pauses. Like if somehow if it's being recorded, if Zoom is automatically or however I've recorded this it's cutting out the pauses in the recording. We'll see. I'm not sure, but let's keep it going.
Okay.
All right, I think I started this question with is, which is interesting to me, but we got to the clarity point, so we'll see where we're at.
But I know it's happened. So I think just clarity. I think if we could just have discussion and we could dive a little deeper so I have a better understanding of the thoughts that are just like going around in circles, you know, that would be great.
Yeah. Is it to the point where you need to make a decision and this conversation will make that decision? Or
Negative. No, I've got time. I've got time. The job is not posted. I'd say I have several months, but I'm done with the detail in another month.
Okay. Gotcha. There it is. What's just jumping right to it. If you had to make a decision right here, right now, which one would you make?
I would do it because on paper, it's the right choice for professional growth.
Mm-hmm. What's it like to say that out loud?
It feels obvious. It feels very surface. It feels like it's based in commitment and loyalty. And I'm the company man.
Yeah. What's your heart say?
My heart doesn't necessarily disagree, but it knows it would be hard. So it hesitates. Yeah. It's definitely like not as like, yay, I'm the company man. It's more like, all right, if we got to do it, we'll do it.
Yeah. What would be your ideal?
I try to think of that sometimes too. I love using my imagination when it comes to being a client. It's one of my favorite things.
I know.
I'm getting older. My ideal would be to work 3 days a week and have, 4 days off to find my ideal. I guess I still don't know what it is, but I do know my ideal is not in my 5-day work week. You know what I mean? I guess if I could separate the two, because I do have to work. I mean, there's no way I'm retiring tomorrow. My ideal would be growing better relationships in the new position to make my heart buy in more.
Want me to pause it, Raj? Just tell me when you want me to pause it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a beautiful time to pause. So I love that question. What's your heart say?
Mhm.
And then after she answered that, there was that just lovely pause in there. Before I hand it back to you as well, John, the other thing I really enjoyed was seeing your personality in when she was saying that she loves to use her imagination. And, we saw a little bit of you without it being too much of you. And I hear this question from coaches all the time when they first train to be a coach, where they like, how much of myself can I bring in? Or they almost feel that it has to be like an interview or robotic. Yet
Mhm.
there was that connection that you had, you're building rapport, but you weren't making it about yourself. It was just a bit of your personality. So I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, that's interesting. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah. I mean, it felt like from when she said it out loud, I was like, oh yeah, like playtime. Like she just gave permission to play. And I was like, that was that response, where that response is coming from.
And they were really good, like short, powerful questions from there. There was that one question, as you said, you knew it was coming. It started with is. So when we were assessing ACC, PCC, we're looking at closed question. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the one closed question in a coaching session is the echo. And that was sort of like a delayed echo. Is the agenda, is that making this decision, or is it clarity? So that's where it was coming from. And it was an information question. I know, like, all those things. It was my echo question. And that's where I just went, clarity it is, just for the sake of time. Like, because I knew that time was short. We only had, we both had hard stops. I only have 20 minutes. So I just was, let's get through that time. I did not get importance, but I thought, oh, I'll make up importance later in the session, with the echo. So, time modeling. Hopefully it feels like a very natural use of the time model. And I don't want coaches to feel like they have to hit the time model in the sense of, when they're doing the assessment call and they bring you a time model call, yes, like hit the things, but that's more of an assignment. It's like going to the gym and doing some reps or movements that you might not necessarily do in real life, but you want to be able to just do it in that situation. So you can do it, you can learn how to do it. If I were assessing this from a time model standpoint, I don't know, I think it would pass. I would say this passes. From an MCC standpoint, I don't know yet. I mean, she's throwing a lot of metaphors. There's opportunities I'm not taking yet. I don't know if I'm banking those opportunities or what, or just not. But I mean, it doesn't, there's nothing so far, there's nothing disqualifying, but there's nothing like, ooh, wow. I feel like this is just a standard solid session. Yeah, that's where I would put this right now.
Yeah. I agree. I want to hear more though, John. Should we keep
Let's
going?
keep it going. And anything, just, yeah, please tell me to, stop at any time.
Maybe it is more about the relationships. Like when I mentioned behind the curtain,
You brought up again.
oof, that team is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the weird thing. Like that is my job, I think, in groups. That's probably why I was recruited for the detail.
Let's say the situation was maniacally designed to teach you somewhat, like some thing, right? Like there's some,
Her face.
someone designing this just for you.
Gosh.
What's the lesson plan? Yes.
Jeez. I see both sides having lessons, honestly. And both of them are things I've been thinking about. So taking the position and going forward with it, the lesson would be leadership. Like this is your next step. You were made for it. You created it. You found the place. This is what you worked for. And then the other side, going through this transition that I mentioned, is you don't need it. Why take on more work to get paid a little more, to have a title? Like, why do that to yourself? Why not take the time to search for your ideal a little bit more? Yeah, it's just 50-50. It's where my head's going in circles.
These seem like two positive choices.
They do, don't they? I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know. Have you ever seen that graph, the emotional intelligence graph?
Which one?
The one where in your career, your emotional intelligence starts kind of low at the bottom, and as you get older and work your way through relationships, it grows. And your technical intelligence actually dips down. And it's required to actually grow in leadership. I think I have the image. Do you want to see it?
That's good. That's good. That's good.
Okay.
I'm like, please just keep it going.
I think that's where I'm at. Like I'm at this crossroad where to be a leader, your emotional intelligence has to grow. So like this process that I'm going through is probably very natural and needed to become a leader. But is that where you want to take it, or do you want to spend your energy elsewhere?
Let's stop here a moment, John.
What would
Those pauses, the pauses, I mean, I've always been a big fan of the way you pause, but that first pause initially when she talked about, again, being behind the curtain, and you just held it that bit longer, she kept talking. It could have been easy to jump in there, but you didn't. You held it.
I did. And I had questions. I was in my mind, I was considering, do I go for a learning question right now or not? And I could just feel playfulness. I mean, there's an element of play in this space. I felt she had more to go. And she did. And in my mind, I feel like I was asking the behind the curtain question. Like, in my head, it's almost like I asked it behind the curtain silently, if that made sense. So I may not have said it out loud, but I feel like that should count as because I just held the space, the geographic space where she was in. And I was there with her, and it just was like, yeah, she's processing. It's good. You see her face, like, oh my goodness. That was fun.
Yeah. And I could see that she responded really well to the design question that you said, because she'd said about her imagination, and I felt there that you were really connecting to her being, like having heard what she said, the fact that she actually created this in the beginning. She loves to use her imagination. She sort of lit up. She really responded well to that language around design. What was it that kind of led you to ask that question?
I wanted to so I felt like she was very close to the problem. Like she was very close to, which decision should I make? What's it like to be in this workplace? Who do I want to be as a leader? You know, how does this narrative show up for me? And I wanted to just break the habitual way of looking at the thing, you know, looking at the thing with something that would just be a slightly jarring, just a little bit, like, you know, just a little break state, to get a new flavor of being in there. And so that's what I was trying to accomplish. And then it came out to me, the thing that was the most curious was, oh, this isn't either like a good, like they're both positive decisions. Like this isn't like, oh, I have to choose between one is going to be good, one is going to be not good. It's no, both are really positive here. That's an amazing place to be. Let's just call it what it is, and then you can feel the energy open up.
Yeah, and she responded really in this upbeat way to that when she said, "They do, don't they? I'm very lucky."
Yeah, we're here. All right. So now it's, I mean, so it's like, it feels like this, like slow, like unfoldment of clarity. Like, oh, okay, well, they're two positive decisions. Amazing. Oh, wow, this has to do with me and my leadership, where I want to go. She has that graph. She wants to show me the graph. It's like, I'm like, no, this is about you. But I feel like the graph was important for her to, to go for and explain it, because she speaks so visually, so tangibly. It's excellent, generous clienting. I feel like I can just hold space and watch her build thought. You know, and yeah, it's quite lovely clienting, really.
Yeah, she is. And what I thought was very lovely as well was how simply you held that mirror up. You didn't over explain it. You didn't say, "Oh, well, earlier you said blah blah blah, and because of that, I am now saying this." You just said very simply, in a few words, there seems like these are two positives.
Yeah, I'm hearing her. I'm with her. She knows it. She feels it, and I'm also giving her as much space as she wants. So that initial pause, let's say the 6-minute mark, lets her know you have as much time as you need. Like I will just sit here and hold space for thoughts that might not be so apparent. I will hold space for those thoughts to come up. And if I do that at minute mark 6, that sensation goes through the rest of the session.
John, how do you keep yourself grounded there, knowing that you've only got a 20-minute session, yet you seem to be able to stretch out time here? It feels like you have.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. I often ask myself the same question, because it is in my consciousness that I'm not. If this were a 50-minute session, I would have probably extended the time model. I would have doubled it for sure. Like I would have gone into the importance of it. It would have felt a little bit more formal, I think. I think with the 20 minutes, I really am like, keep it snappy, but at the same time, like I'm almost feels like I am very conscious of every single word I'm saying. Like it's almost like I'm like writing a poem. Like, you know, each word counts, as succinct as possible. Yeah.
And how do you keep yourself present then? Because you're conscious of it, you're aware how much time there is, yet you're still remaining present. So what advice would you give to a coach here who starts to internally be panicking?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this comes from just years of experience. I don't think I could not have done this year 1 or 2, held that space. I would have been all about what decision is the right decision. Is it, how valuable is that decision? And yay, coaching. Like we've proved that coaching is rad. And I think that we have proved that coaching has value would have been the overwhelming feel of this. I'm not even like, I at this point in time, I feel like I am Charlene. Like I'm locked in. There's very little imaginative separation between me and her at the moment, from my perspective. Yeah, I'm 100% locked in at this point. I can feel it. I know it. I'm like, yeah, like check out what's coming next. You know, like, you just get in this space and there's such a confidence and deliciousness in being able to know that you are actively empathetic listening without a doubt. And you can trust where you want to go from this point forward. Yeah.
And there it is that you can trust. So that is that trust yourself, trust the client, trust the process. So just want to give everyone who's listening a reminder of just practicing being in that space, isn't it? I know we want to listen to a little bit more before we close out. There is another question I had because she wanted to share her model and you were like, no, it's okay, it's cool. Some coaches may not have known how to handle that. And okay, let's look at the model. So how did you make that decision quickly to say, no, it's okay, it's cool?
We had 20 minutes and I did not even want to waste 10 seconds for her to find a file on her computer. So I was like, please no, let's go. Now I feel the pressure to get the question back to her internal question, not, oh, we're going to talk some theory and we're going to go so far out. I didn't want to go out and talk about something that didn't have to do directly with her. So these next couple questions are interesting to see how I bring her back internal. Yeah.
So that's the example of bottom lining, really, isn't it? We were kind of moving it on and you were pleasant and nice and it wasn't rude or anything like that. So I just wanted to highlight that to people that you were able to do that. And she was like, okay. And then you carried on.
Yeah, I think part of it is I was like, that would be interesting. Sure. Even if I had a 50-minute session, I would have done the same thing. Like I would have, if there was no time pressure, I still would have, no. And I think the difference there is then the next questions are all about her still. It's almost like, oh, let's talk about this interesting topic on the side. And I was like, no, you are actually more interesting. Let's look at you. Like how more around, like more when you look at this, what does that bring up for you? Like those would be the questions that, if you really want to ease off of it a little bit more gently, but I don't know, we'll see.
Okay, let's listen to a bit more.
Here, I'll take it back a couple seconds.
Very natural and needed to become a leader. But is that where you want to take it, or do you want to spend your energy elsewhere?
Mm-hmm. What would your, let's say, 9-year future you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone sneezed.
She blesses you.
Yeah. She probably say,
Perfect timing, that sneeze, wasn't it?
There are more sneezes coming, which is lovely. There they are. There they are.
She'd probably say,
Lots of bless yous. Yes.
you did the right thing, no matter what I choose, honestly.
Yeah.
She's pretty confident. She also believes there are no such thing as like, there's no wrong, there's no absolutes, in life. So just me being me in either decision is enough.
Wow. So what do you do with that?
That's pretty wide.
You know what I mean? Okay, so new coach me I would have lost it. So what are we doing here? What do we need? Like, why? You know, present coach me and say, all right, like seriously, we're 9 minutes in. Well, what have we established? Well, they're both two positive choices. Either one's great. Your 9-year future self says it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? And at the same time, I still feel like we're making such tremendous progress internally. Like like this to me, I feel like dispels a lot of what coaching is and isn't. You know, it isn't, we need to come up with, this is your life plan. This is the decision. Like, it's not about that. It's about the learning that Charlene is having in real time about herself and the process, which she's probably spent hours of mental, emotional energy just ruminating. We've established they're both positive choices. And that will change the way she thinks about this, which will change the decision, which will change her life. It's, you know?
And this is 9 minutes in, and I'm feeling that shift in her energy, even right from the beginning. I mean, she's talking about her future self, and she's honestly, she's pretty confident. And at the beginning, a little bit, I was sensing some of that internal struggle. I mean, she even started with, not that I mean to be bragging. And I was, oh, that's interesting, like, around maybe her values of humility, or, then this behind the curtain kept coming up as though there was something there within her where she was trying to figure out, should she be in front of that curtain? So I was curious about her values and where any of that internal conflict might be. Yet through you holding the space and asking the questions, we're 9 minutes in, you can see it, she's like releasing it, and she's like, yeah, there is that confidence there, and there's been a shift in already her perspective and how she's seeing things so quickly.
So this is the 9-minute mark, and we'll pick it up.
So just me being me in either decision is enough.
Mm-hmm.
She's pretty wise.
What happens if you just put this decision down completely? So what happens?
God, you just saying that made me feel so much better. Why am I even thinking about it right now?
Yeah, that's why.
Why? It may not even happen. That's the thing. Like the way hiring works in this place, it could be a year. Oh my God, I feel so much better already. It's healthy to remember I have time. I'm not committing to anything anytime soon. And information is information. Like every day I gather more. I learn more about the job. I learn more about the people I'd be working with. So maybe that anxiety will like relax over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. My heart rate just went down.
Yeah, mine too.
Thank you. Incredible, right? Just saying it out loud. I don't have to make a decision anytime soon. Let's just wait and see.
Yeah. Where else do you do this in your life?
Not many
Let's
places.
stop for a moment, John. Lovely.
It only pops up with work decisions. Like,
Okay.
So I love that question, that broader question that you just asked. I'm curious as I'm listening to you. You asked the question, what happens if you just put this decision down completely?
Yeah.
And we just see all that shift in her energy. Yet, where did that question come from for you?
It felt like we were getting too close to it. Like it just felt like it started to feel heavy. And it didn't need to feel heavy because it's between two positive choices. And then it just hit me like, why are we even here? You don't even need to decide this. And that's where I came from.
And the relief she felt from responding to that question.
I mean, this is an example, I think, of what happens when this is where the value of a coach really comes into play. Because in my own life, our lives, I find, me myself included, the mental emotional patterns are pretty regular. Like there's a pretty systematic, like this is how, when this topic comes up, this is how I think about it. This is how I process it emotionally. This is, this is the beginning, the system, the outcome. Very, 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 very smooth. And that can be used to advantage. I mean, the idea of, having, let's say, a resilience gratitude, workout that you put yourself through, or, certain songs you listen to get yourself hyped up. Yeah, I mean, we have highly tuned mental emotional patterns. What I'm doing here with Charlene is I'm breaking it for her. I'm breaking this mental emotional pattern simply by asking, what happens if you just put it down completely? That's not part of the pattern. We broke it.
Is that what brought the curiosity for you in terms of where else do you do this in life?
Yeah, I was trying to put her back in the center of it. I liked it. I found myself listening. I want to go a little bit more into the relief. Where's the relief? Where do you feel it in your body? Like I want to explore it. I feel like I think that would show up on an MCC assessment as a missed. I know it would. It would show up as a missed opportunity. Like I know what my MCC coach would say. Both of them would say that. And yeah, that's where I get back to it, but I think it would have been interesting to do that in the moment. From a PCC level, yeah, this still is well within that range. I also like my pausing on this one. My me too. Are you kidding? I'm just having fun. I'm so relaxed. I am her at this moment. Like I am so with her on the other side of the phone right now, or video. Yeah, I'm with her pretty intense at this point.
You are, and you can feel that. You can feel that relaxed energy and that bit of humor and the rapport there. Let's keep listening, John.
Keep it going. Let's keep it going. We might need to jump ahead a little bit. We'll see. I might jump a
And
little.
new opportunities. I get excited about. Yeah.
Well, it feels to me like almost like a delicious struggle in some ways. Like what was the lure that got you into it? That got you in there.
That's a good question. So I love new opportunities. I love creating things from scratch. I change jobs every 2 or 3 years. And the fact that my office is offering something new is very exciting to me. And I jumped right in 2 feet, created it, loved it. Just don't know if I'm going to do it long term.
It feels like you have such a confidence in your internal ability to handle whatever happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you want to do with that?
Everything.
Yeah, that's the feeling.
I want to do it all. I want to take the job for a while, and then when I'm tired of it, find something new. And then I
can't believe she said it out loud.
Yeah, I love opportunity, and I'll jump on any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also love setting other people up for success. Yeah. So creating the position, laying the groundwork, And then handing it over feels so good. Just saying, go, make this your own now because I've laid the groundwork.
What do you want to call this concept for you? Like, you know, your personal name for this procedure.
So it doesn't exactly match up, but I was just looking at Clifton Strength, and you know that, right? Have you ever seen Woo Woo?
Yes. Yes.
I don't even know what it means in Clifton Strength, but I want to call laying the groundwork my Woo Woo.
You're
Woo Woo.
You're woo woo.
Yeah. It just popped into my head. My Woo Woo. I do the Woo Woo and then hand it over.
That is fun. Good. I mean, it's good to have clarity on your professional, you know, magic, right? Struggling. I don't know if you can see it, but
What's happening there, John?
I don't like the name Woo Woo for her right now. I'm voting on it internally. I think the name Woo Woo, I think she's gonna run into problems with it later if she uses it as a client. I think yeah. I don't think it accurately captures what I think I don't think it accurately captures what I find the most compelling thing of what she said about empowering other people in this space. I mean, I feel like it's not so much a woo like or like magic or some mystical thing as much as, or you know, it's more like this is her superpower. Like this is what she says it, and you hear her say it, and you think, yeah, this is what she was born to do. And I don't know, woo woo feels. I mean, it's a name, it works, but I'm like processing it for her in some odd way, and I'm just making all this up. If I were at my very best coaching, or you know, if I were for a redo of this, I probably just would have gone with it more and just not stumbled over it. I don't know. It's so hard to do sometimes in the driver's seat.
Yeah, you did manage to stay curious, even though you said you're having that internal struggle. You haven't said out loud to her, "Oh no, it shouldn't be like woo woo doesn't
Not
work."
Not yet. I don't think I go that far, but I'm like, hey, let's dig a little more and get to like the thing of it, you know, like because I think what it does. I mean, let's say, you know, from just a pure business professional standpoint, what she's basically describing is like the ideal leader, like someone who's able to set someone up, you know, go in there, create a system, and then set someone else up for success. It's what all leaders, as well myself included, like it's what people strive to do. And if she does it on the regular, it's astounding to me just for someone who can do this on the regular and then not completely own it professionally. Yeah, that's the other thing I'm struggling with. It's like, what you just described perfection. That's amazing. Like, you know, she worked and she does really important work in this world. That work needs this kind of person. All those things are happening below the surface. And then, yeah.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm curious too. The impact of labeling it that, you know, where might she be diminishing her value by the labels that she's giving things also? So what might you have done differently in that moment?
I think I go with it. I think this is part of where myself as a coach, where I sometimes, like when I introduce a lot of play into a session, sometimes it does get playful, and I think there's benefits to it. And then other times I don't know, you know, and I don't think of anything like, there's nothing yet that I think, oh, this is not great. I just know I'm struggling internally as a coach, and it's good. It's not. I don't think I make any big errors, but shall we continue from there? See what
Yeah.
happens. All right.
What are the, it's an interesting question popping in my head, but it's there. What are the downsides though? How do you mitigate the downsides
Mm,
to this procedure? The woo-woo?
I just adopt it and go with it. I'm like, all right, we'll take it.
I'm put on my business hat when you answer this question.
So good, right?
Okay, but I set expectations very clearly at the beginning.
Mm.
I am very deliberate in how I communicate what I am willing to do and what I don't want to do. And I don't always stick to that. I'm very flexible and adaptable, and I am a company man, like I'll do what's needed, but I do set expectations at the very beginning. So I think that's how I mitigate the negatives with others or in the program. But maybe the question is, how do I mitigate the negative to myself?
Yeah.
Mhm. She's being very generous clienting.
What are the negatives? Maybe that's the question. Never becoming an expert in something. Feeling like I leave people hanging, like I am right now with this decision. That's hard to deal with. I don't like that feeling. How do I mitigate those? I don't know. Maybe that's what I'm struggling with.
Feels like there's something here, and I'm not sure. You know, I mean, just like the spidey senses tingling a little bit, but I think the coaching direction is more of how do you want to use the downside? How do you want to use how do you want to use even the mitigating to further the goals of what you're after?
Wow.
How are those useful?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to get her really internal right now. And I think I got her there. I really like this question. How are you even using the downsides to a process like this to further the goal of what you were trying to accomplish? So
Yeah.
cool.
Because I'm also curious there about there is that dip in energy, isn't there? That's first when you asked the question a moment ago. She was delighted. You know, she was very delighted. Her energy was up. You know, she's looking at naming it when she came up with the woo-woo part. And now we're here and she's deep in concentration. We almost felt like a bit of an energy dip. And she referenced leaving people hanging. So I'm curious about that. And I'm just making a note, right? Right at the beginning, some words that she uses sometimes that I'm curious about. She used bragging right at the beginning, and she's talking about leaving people hanging, and she referenced shallow somewhere. So I'm just curious about some of those things as well. Let's leave that there for now, but it's just things that
Yeah,
I
I
was
agree.
observing.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this is an interesting place for me to take it as a coach. You know, and I'm not sure. It's like, oh, I'm introducing, but I am, as a coach, it feels like I'm actively going for lower energy here. I think I'm going for more of an internal, like what's really here, and I can't shake this sense. I mean, mention I can't shake this sense that there's something here for her. I can't. It's just in the. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where we get there.
Yeah.
I think it goes to arranging for others to take the lead. Like I set other people up to lead. I'm kind of a coach.
Yeah.
I mean, in not just this sense, but in like off this work sense or within the team. I'm the arranger and the cheerleader, and I enable others. So the negatives that were listed, how do I mitigate the bad stuff? I use that to set other people up, really,
Yeah.
to set the team up for success.
There's a shift. Yeah, I see it too. I see what you're saying. It feels like taking the known limitations and shifting them to, not optimizing them, but not, optimisting them away. Be like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's magically, if we ignore it, it just disappears, hopefully. But just say, yeah, these limits are here. Let's actually use them.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. It's a
What do you
nice
call
one.
this? I feel like we got a concept. Like, let's get a handle. Yeah, let's grab this one. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds a little negative, but it's also kind of funny, but maybe like the doomsday prepper. It's like the I don't like the word arranger, but the doomsday prepper. Oh, doomsday is so horrible. Wait, let me think of another word. We'll just call it the DD prepper. We'll leave the word doom out of it. DD prepper.
Yeah, it's like the doom prepper. Like, like that, okay, like this could crash and burn, but let's use the negative as guard, almost a tool, like a structure in an odd way. Yeah.
Like contingency planning almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It makes it real.
It's like it does very much back in the logistics space. Like mindful logistics, which is a completely different part of the brain from like the heart. Like this connects as humans, like relational. How are you doing as a human? What's the connection between what's the bridge between those two?
Here we go.
Between what two?
The logistics of using the limitations as tools in one space, and then the heart space of connecting to humans as humans.
Here we go.
Operational intuitiveness.
She got there.
I think we just created something, John.
Oh, it even has like motion, like it even has like a body movement.
I'm wrapping it down. I'm writing it down. Operational intuitiveness. Okay, that's a good one. All right, good. OI. We already have an acronym too.
What's your OI quotient?
Yeah. Use a graph now. Mhm. How do I use it?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this. I feel like I just made my expertise. I feel like I can write Charlene Feltley, operational intuitiveness. That's my tag.
I think we need to stop here, John. That's pretty huge what's happening there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel listening back to that?
I knew there was something there for her. And it's amazing how I kept going for a name. And we got one. And I think it's a very strong one. And I think it accurately describes what she's up to, her brilliance. It's something that I think, yeah, operation intuitiveness. I mean, it's just sweet. And I know she's going to use it. So essentially what we're doing is exploring her business genius. And now we have a name for it. She has clarity on what she's really good at. And so when she approaches this position, she might even say, hey, this is my goal. This is what I will try to do. These are known limitations, and I'm really awesome at operational intuitiveness. It's almost like she's laid out a business plan, and that this session has laid out the case for her professional identity moving forward. Yeah, I feel really good listening to this.
How did you know that you needed to go for a name? Like, what was it within you?
Great question. I'm not sure. I went for a name 3 times in this one, which is a little unusual for me. Once, sure. I mean, it's a really sweet thing to do. Once you have an insight, hey, let's name this one, but 3 times in 21 minutes, that's a lot of name seeking. I don't know, Raj. I don't know. I also don't know. There's 30 seconds left. You want to catch it? Then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah. And then I've got a few other observations to share. Yeah, let's do that.
We did really well.
Oh, I asked her, how did we do on the session agenda?
I let go pretty quickly of the decision, and it became something to help guide my decision.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to make any sort of choice right now, but I have some meat and potatoes to take in as I make that decision when it comes time.
I stopped it there. I don't know why, but
Firstly,
we talked more, but you know what I mean. That's the end of the session.
Yeah. And that's 20 minutes.
20
So I know
minutes.
we did this in 2 parts, but you demonstrated, how you can set the agenda, get deep with exploration, and then that wrap up there as well. I do want to applaud you again, John, on the way you bring in that humor and that energy. So that kind of flow, the fun, she was bouncing off you, but you also there with her energy, right? And the pause you hold when she's deep in concentration. It's kind of, you make it look effortless the way you move through that.
Yeah, thanks, Raj. I mean, part of it is I feel like my processor is just not that fast sometimes. I'm like, I'm going to get there. I'm giving myself time. It's not, yeah, I'm not listening, thinking of the next question, put it that way. Like I'm just listening. And it's my turn to talk. Okay, hold on. That's it. Okay. And like literally that's what's happening in my head.
So coaches that are listening, take that with you. John's just said, he doesn't have the question ready. He is processing, and then you use that pause. John is using that pause to dig into that curiosity. Because often there's so much pressure, isn't there, for coaches of feeling, let's line up the next question.
Things that help is having a couple questions in your back pocket, like what are you learning? What's the name for that? If it's an insight, what's the name for the insight? A couple questions you can go to, give you the confidence to just listen. Because then in my early coaching, I just would sit there and go, I don't even know the next question. I'm panicking. I don't know. I'm a bad coach. This process is horrible. You know what I mean? The usual.
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
Oh gosh. But now it's almost like there's none of that left. Yeah. That's a journey. You don't go backwards on it. Once you get comfortable with it, you're just comfy with it.
Yeah. And there's that reminder of the 3 trusts as well, isn't it? Trust yourself, trust the process, and trust the client. I also saw you use a couple of different things in there. You were acknowledging, but there was almost championing that was happening. If we think about tools, because you were like, we got it, we got the concept. And she was cheering with that as well. You also demonstrated on more than one occasion the way you would use kind of playing something back, paraphrasing, but you weren't just doing that. At times you would let it land. She said one word, absolutely. And then you asked her a curious question. I just wanted to kind of point that out to coaches that are listening that may be unsure of how they play something back or how they paraphrase. Like, what would you add to that in the technique that you use, John?
Yeah, I think I was a little wordy towards the end, a little more wordy than I would have liked. I thought I did okay. And it wasn't cringy. It just was a little bit more than I feel like I would have wanted. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I rode that line of maybe talking too much towards the end there. I'm generally not a huge fan of paraphrase. I felt like I wanted to set up, I felt like I know I had the idea in my mind, like I could see it, and I wanted to make sure I could set it up well. And that's why I went for what I did. That's why I went for what I went for. If there's a way to do that more quickly, maybe, I don't know.
So what would you have reined it in a bit, asked a question sooner?
Probably, yeah. I think I was giving myself time to wrap my own mind around it, and I could see it, I could feel it, I could feel her. It's odd when you can feel the tangibility of someone else's thought and structure and process, and then you can almost see. It's almost like you see it in physical space. And so the question came from, well, what's the bridge between those two different spaces? You know, what's the bridge between, oh, this is logistics. This is, I know how to get things. I know how to create a system that outlines what needs to get done. And then, oh, I also know how to connect with humans as people. I mean, I'm in that room, and there are two things happening. Like, what's the middle part? I make even like a hand thing. Like, you know, there's a physicality to thought that I think as a coach, if you can get there, it adds an element of you just feel like, yeah, like this is good. This is going to work.
Yeah. So I would encourage coaches that are listening that perhaps if you are someone who's a bit wordier anyway, continue to practice short, powerful questions. I think, John, you're very experienced, so you do catch yourself and you will add that curious question in there. I think it's being mindful of some of those things for all of us, because that can become a habit, can't it, as well? So how do we remain curious and hand it back to the coachee? So what else would you like to share with coaches that are listening today as we wrap up?
More to come. I think I have 10 demos scheduled in the next 2 weeks. We weren't sure.
10?
Yeah, 10. We weren't sure when we were talking about this if we'd have enough people to volunteer to be clients. And that seems funny now.
Thank you for sharing your coaching with us, John, as well. I'm learning a lot. I am deep in curiosity. And one of the biggest gifts I'm taking away today is as I listen to you is, as I said, the ease and the flow. And I think that reminder for everyone is trusting yourself, letting go, use that pause in that way. So, okay, great stuff. We will have more demos to come. So we will see you all next week.
Yes. Thanks, Raj. Thank you.
Thank you.